I have a nice big, oh, I'm looking at the wrong things. Pow. Okay. I have a nice big glass of coconut water over ice. Let me know what your thoughts are on coconut water. I used to think that it tasted like wet dog or like what wet dog smells like. And now I'm obsessed with it. My dishwasher is making a loud noise. So, yeah, thoughts on coconut water. Do we love it or do we hate it? I now love it. It's so good. I can't explain what is so delightful about it. It's like the way it feels in your mouth. I do not have time to do like a full on video right now. So I'm just going to do a sketchbook tour of what I've been working on. It's been a while since I've shared with you guys anything that I've sketched or the paintings I've been working on. If you follow me on other platforms, then you may have already seen some of this stuff, but I thought this would be a good little video to leave you with while I'm on vacation, in case anybody's interested in just what I've been up to. So I'm going to switch to overhead and I'll show you guys what I've been working on. Wait, maybe before I switch to overhead, I will show you the two larger paintings. And they're not even that large, but I don't remember whether I worked on this at all during a video, but this is the study. It's still, even though it's a large piece, I'm still like considering this a study for a different piece I want to make in the future, just because I want to do something different with the figure. I really want to change the composition a bit and have multiple figures in here. I think I talked about it in a video where I could see myself in the mirror standing far away while my husband was like standing right here. So it was a really cool composition because there was essentially three figures, like him in real life, him in the mirror, and then me in the mirror. That's the kind of composition that really interests me, but it was also like, it seems ambitious. So I wanted to start off by just doing this scene of this bathroom in my house. And this figure is honestly like, it's sort of nobody. It's just a representation of me, I guess. But I didn't want to paint it exactly like how it looked in the photo with me like holding my phone in front of my face. So yeah, it's kind of just a stand-in. I still really enjoy this piece. Like I do consider it a finished piece, but bearing in mind that the purpose of it was to study for another piece I plan to make still in the future. This was the one I mentioned where I sent a picture in the paint club and got feedback from, I think it was Erin, who said, balance-wise, it would be better if I took out like a picture, like a dark object that had been right here. And it was such a simple change and it made all the difference. And I tried to simplify a little more like the brush strokes in this area. I'm really excited about this. I think it's really nice. I love the stripe and the painting of the painting. I cannot never get enough of simplified paintings represented in like interior scenes. Yeah, maybe I'll put like some favorites of mine up on the screen, but like when a painter depicts a painting in a painting, I love that. So that's this piece. And then this is another one that I have been working on, and it's based on, you know what, I might just talk more about this when I do switch to overhead, because I did a thumbnail of it in my sketchbook that I want to show you. But anyway, yeah, that's the second piece. Now we'll do overhead and I'll show you everything that I've been sketching in my book. All right, I think it was as far back as this page that I last kind of showed you guys what I had been working on. I really like sometimes filling a page with just like marks like this. I love dry brush techniques. So that, like this whole sketch done with a mostly dry paintbrush, it just has such a wonderful texture and there's such variety. Like you can see the change as the paint gets even drier, and you can really do these kind of like fuzzy light textures. So yeah, I think I was just feeling like filling a page with marks And I just am a sucker for how this looks, and it's always inspiring to me to just remind myself of the type of marks that I can make. All right, so yeah, this was already a while ago, August 4th. I think this is based on a photo, just like a Pinterest photo. If I can find it, I'll flash it up on the screen. But yeah, I wanted to capture that pattern. I think the colors in this photo were really inspiring to me. So I just did some swatching and tried to recreate it. I'm really inspired by the pattern and the backgrounds that Edouard Vuillard uses in a lot of his paintings. So I think that that's what I was kind of trying to lean into. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. This is another Edouard Vuillard little color study based on just like a wonderful little simple piece of his. What did I say? Keep adding until the painting reveals itself. And then this, I don't remember what image this is based on, but I do remember that I did this, a copy of that painting that I loved, and then I wanted to kind of translate those colors into something original. And I do remember being a bit frustrated when I was working on this. I think this part of it is nice, and this muddy like face over here, I think that was starting to bother me, and then I just decided to move on. But yeah, this was a really good exercise in color. I just love the greens. I really want to do more, like explore this color scheme more. That's another reason why doing these little studies is so helpful, is when you flip back through the book, if you're kind of stuck on color, you can remind yourself of all these different sort of color schemes that you wanted to explore. All right, this was, I think I showed you this. This was when I was like just trying to assess like what was working for me and what wasn't. And then I did this, what inspires me, and just kind of made a list where I just asked myself, like, what is the most inspiring to me right now? And I just wanted to kind of get it all out on paper. I think this was for when I made the video called Too Much Inspiration, Not Enough Clarity, because I felt so very inspired by many things, but like it was just too all over the place. And I wanted to hone in on what was the most inspiring to me and what I should act on and like actively pursue. So that was a nice little exercise to kind of hone in on that. This I drew while I was watching a movie. It's an old film, Elizabeth Taylor and Katharine Hepburn, I think, called Suddenly Last Summer. And yeah, I just sort of drew the characters as I was watching. This was with the water-soluble pencil. I really enjoy this little painting. This was with very watered down acrylic, and I think it was based on something from the folk art book that I have, like a cropped version of a painting. And I really, really like this. I'm so inspired by the texture of the background and the dress. I also like that element of like adding more detail to one face than another to make that kind of like the focal point. Like this reads as a painting of the little girl, and the woman next to her just kind of feels like more of a fixture, more of like part of the environment. So I think that's like a pretty cool technique to utilize if you're going for something like that. This was a watercolor that I did just sitting here, like over there at this dining table, looking at my olive tree and my lamp. If you follow me on Substack, then you've seen this, this and this. I think those were on two different posts, but like two of my favorite items, this watercolor piece and this lamp, are just two really lovely objects. And I love my olive tree too. So that was just a fun kind of more of like an illustrative doodle style painting I did one day. I wrote this after finishing East of Eden, which was like the best book I've ever read. Obviously, that's what I've written. And yeah, this is a little doodle of Ethan's bike, which is in our house underneath this painting that my great-grandmother did. It's a really beautiful painting. Sometimes it's really nice to just do these quick, simple drawings of objects, and these are the ones that I end up going back to and really appreciating later, even if it was just like literally a 10-second drawing. This was like my initial study for the piece that I've already shown you, and I did change the dimensions a bit. If you recall, the one I already showed you is a lot, maybe not a lot, but it is taller than this. I really like this little version too, though. It's quite nice. And then just some color swatching for it. Okay, this, I don't know whether I will end up making a video about this. This was a study, just like a test for something I painted on an object. This was one day when I was prepping for making dinner, but also really wanted to make the time to paint that day. So I felt like, well, how do I do both things? And I decided to just bring out my sketchbook and paint the ingredients before I prepped them for like a sheet pan dinner. These, I think I painted these really late at night because I seem to remember, like especially with this one, not really knowing what colors I was using exactly and just kind of like working really quickly and going based on feel. And then the next day, oh wait, it literally says late at night cleaning my palette. Oh yeah, so that was another thing. Like I guess I didn't even intentionally put paint on the palette for this. I was just using whatever was left over from probably this. So yeah, that always leads to me leaning into colors I don't normally go for, and you get interesting results like this red, that yellow. Like I feel like these are variations on these colors that I wouldn't normally go for. And there's something I really like about specifically this painting. I think it's just because it's so unexpected. And I think I looked at it the next day and was like surprised by it because I had made it like in a dark room, not really like knowing what it was going to look like. These were based on film stills. So similar to that exercise that I posted in a video, painting based on film stills, that's kind of what I did with these. So this is from the movie Fair Play, and this is from one called Grey Gardens. This I did with my little marker. It's like a double tip, so one side's a pen and one's a marker. And this was to try to figure out a good composition for a still life, which if you just watched my video where I showed you this still life, you know that it did not turn out well at all. And looking back at these thumbnails, even though they look quite charming, just on this monochrome, like little sketch version, I think if I had paid more attention and really analyzed these thumbnails, I would have realized that it wasn't a good still life composition, at least not for me and not for what I was going for. So that's kind of funny to look back on. I honestly wonder, did I make these before I began painting or did I make it after? I may have made these after, like when I was already struggling with the composition and I was like desperate to try to figure out how to improve it. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's that. This I did show in my video where I painted the still life, which ended up being based on this sketch. So if you want to see more about this piece and you haven't watched that video, I would recommend you check it out. This is just based on an illustration in an Italian cookbook. You guys know the like vintagey cookbooks that have all kinds of adorable illustrations in them? I have this giant Italian one, and like every page has a super cute illustration. Yeah, so I was just messing around and copied one of those in watercolor. This was a recipe for like no-bake coconut cookies that I was inventing, and I think I just reached for the nearest paper to jot it down, and it was my sketchbook. These are Amble album covers. So this was a single that came out recently called Hand Me Downs. It's a really beautiful song. I highly recommend it. Reverie is their last album, and it's really, really good. If you like kind of like Irish folksy music, they are Irish, and certain songs sound like American country vibes as well. So yeah, I have been really, really loving this music. And when this single came out, I was so in love with the album cover that I just knew I had to paint it. So that's that. I think it's really beautiful. The pink walls, you guys, the pink walls are gorgeous. And I did share this on my Substack if you follow me over there. Same for this. This was based on East of Eden. So East of Eden is an incredible book, which I think most people know, but I had never read it, and it's sort of based on like the Cain and Abel story from the Bible on like a grand epic scale. It's like a retelling of the Cain and Abel story, and then this is just like a short part of a longer quote that I really liked from the book. All right, this was a day when I was trying to make another fig still life that I liked as much as the last one. But I think the key with that one is that it was so simple, and I really like insisted upon keeping it simple. I knew that that was what I would like. And then I'll just insert a video that I took, because now that I'm thinking about it, I remember taking a video and trying to show you guys the purple color of these shamrock leaves. So yeah, pause, insert that clip here. Okay, I had to show you guys something amazing. I'm working on trying to set up a good still life. I wanted to paint figs again. This time they're turkey figs. So they're like this really nice purple and green. And I was thinking about this plant that has a lot of dead leaves right now, but I sit in the same room every morning, and this plant is in that room, and I can see like the purple tinges through the backs of the leaves. And I was thinking it might be pretty to do a painting with both, because they both have that color. And I brought it over here, and like as you can see, this is the color. It's like a tinge of purple right through the green. But from this angle, it's like this magenta almost, like this really, you can't even tell in the video how purple that looks. Like in real life, this is looking so shiny, pinkish purple. And I'm just amazed by it, like how different it looks depending on the lighting. Like look at this one. That's so pretty. And then if you look at it from over here, I don't know if you can see. Okay. If you look at it like that, it's not that purple. And if you look at it like that, it's super purple. Okay, not very purple. Extremely purple. You see what I mean? Like, what is this magical situation over here? Okay, anyway, I'm gonna try to come up with a pretty still life setup here. So yeah, I was obviously very mind blown by those leaves. Anyway, these were my attempts at finding a good composition. And I don't think I ended up loving any of these, but I decided to keep it as simple as I could and kind of lean into this one right here. And this was, is that the same? Yeah, that's more or less the same composition. So this was the painting that I did, which I think this is actually really nice. I do enjoy the colors and everything. Yeah, I think I captured that bright color of the leaves like I was hoping to. But I didn't like this enough to like recreate it outside of the sketchbook. I think it's like a pretty sketch, but it wasn't speaking to me such that I wanted to make like a larger scale painting of it. These were my ideas for like paint club logos. So you've probably heard me talk about it, but the paint club is a Patreon that I started. And if you want to exchange images of your work and advice and like ask for feedback from other artists. There's a handful of us in this club, and we would love to have you join. This is just me trying to come up with like a cute little logo. I didn't end up using any of these, but I did use, I think, some of this in like the banner that I made. I really love this painting. The red dress is just so delicious, and I love that kind of negative space of the cat. This is another one based on a painting from the folk art book. And yeah, it's sort of, it kind of reminds me of my little brother when he used to wear like a Cinderella dress when he was 3 years old, because it looks like a little boy, but it's really not. It's a little girl who just sort of looks like a little boy. And you've got a little puppy in the corner. Yeah, I really cannot get enough of this painting. And I think the detail of the red necklace is also really like brings the whole thing together. More swatching for something. This I drew while my mom and I were sitting in the theater waiting for the musical Hadestown to start. My husband, Ethan, was drumming for this show. It's such a good show, you guys. If you haven't seen it or listened to it, the music is amazing, and Ethan did such a good job. So yeah, I didn't have like a ton of time. This was part of the set, and I just doodled a few faces of people sitting around me. This is from Ed Emberley's drawing book of trucks and trains. Again, something that I shared on Substack. This was a book that my brother and I used to check out from the library all the time, and we loved drawing from it when we were kids. So I was recently spending a lot of time at the library because I want to write about it for Substack and just like share my affection for the library with everybody. So yeah, I made a point to bring home this book, and just I sat down and did some of the little drawings from it, and it was like therapeutic. I really enjoyed making these. I just have such good memories of doing these drawings as a kid. They're like step by step. Like the books just show you how to draw all the little things step by step. This was when Ethan and I were at the park having a little picnic dinner. Yeah, just a quick pencil sketch of a couple of herons and some ducks. I remember that the light was fading really fast. So this was a sunset painting. And by the time I was finished with it, it was like dark out. So definitely not the colors or the style that I normally would go for. But there's something really nice about this that I do quite like. These are based on a couple of different photos I took of my niece at the farmer's market. And I've honestly been struggling with this composition because I love these photos. Maybe I should lean more into this one because I love her pose there. But I was trying to do a painting of this one, and there's something is just not clicking. Maybe it's a couple pages over, so I'll show you when we get to it. This is just me like writing some ideas. I was getting attacked by mosquitoes. I was sitting outside when I did this and made this painting kind of quick as I was being attacked by mosquitoes. Okay, yeah, I'll go back to this because I wanted to show you this first. This is that picture of my niece that I'm talking about. And yeah, I've just been struggling with it. I feel like it has the potential to be a good painting, and I just can't crack it. So I don't hate this entirely. I think I was starting to get somewhere with like the background over here. But yeah, there's just something, I don't know if I'll continue to pursue it, but I think that's a case for why doing thumbnails and doing studies is so important, because yeah, it just reveals to you what is gonna work and what is maybe not gonna work. This was my thumbnail for that painting, the Carousel painting. And I knew instantly when I did this pencil sketch that it was gonna be a good composition because I just love this quick sketch. And then when I did the painted version, That just confirmed it for me. I absolutely love this little painting. I feel like the light, let me see if I can improve the lighting situation right now. Okay, hopefully this is a bit better. Yeah, I instantly fell in love with this painting. I love the colors of it and everything about the composition. So it's based on this photo. That's me when I was like a baby, and that's my dad behind me. So the photo is a little blurry, and I feel like it just captures like that sort of fleeting, like memory like nature of that moment, and kind of the movement too of the carousel. So, yeah, big fan of that. And then this is my larger version of it. I am currently sitting with this and deciding whether or not it's finished. I do think there's room for a little bit of work on the figures, but I started to get a little bit scared of overworking them. I'll put up on the screen a painting by Edouard Vuillard that's really inspiring to me in terms of how he depicts the human face with very little detail, just so you can get a sense of like that's what I'm trying to channel here. And yeah, I think I've been getting better at it, but I still have a little bit too much like reticence and I'm afraid to ruin things. And so yeah, I need to like just be brave and like take risks. And yeah, I do think there's room for a little bit more development over here, but all in all, I am a huge fan of this piece. I love particularly this area and like these marks where I've kind of not mixed the color entirely. And so as I apply it, um, it's almost like candy stripe. Yeah, I think this piece is really inspiring to me, and I would love to keep making more in this style. This was a painting I did of the nasturtium that I was really reluctant to get rid of, a pressed nasturtium. I decided, okay, if I do a painting of it, then I can get rid of it and like be okay with that. And then I also did it in water soluble pencil with some like brown watercolor. These I also did at another of Ethan's shows. He was performing at a church, like a really old church with a stained glass dome. It was so beautiful. So I took out my sketchbook and did these two sketches while just like waiting for the program to start. I liked depicting the choir as they were sitting. I think it was like a high school choir under this. This was a stained glass window as well. Um, yeah, I really like how these turned out. And the performance was so beautiful. It was a requiem and just like, oh my gosh, gorgeous, gorgeous. Ethan did such a good job. This is also based on that same photo, or actually, no, you know what? There's a second photo. It's a vertical one, and in that one, my dad's face is completely hidden, so it's just me. And I just kind of wanted to see what that one would be like, and if it was worth maybe also doing a painting of that composition as well. I really do enjoy how this sketch turned out. I feel like there's like some mischief even though there's not a lot of detail, for some reason my face looks very mischievous to me in that. This one is based on a photo of Ethan, and what I always do is when I'm painting someone I know, I struggle with going too detailed and like getting lost in the fussiness of like the shadows on their face and that kind of detail. So when I started this piece or this, sketch, I wanted it to be extremely loose, extremely simple. And then just the more I worked on it, I kept adding detail, and the more I added to it, the less I liked it. So, I mean, that's just a good reminder. I think there's things that are nice about it, but it's just a reminder to me not to get lost in those fussy details. And then this was a couple nights ago. I just did, these were two compositions that I was painting for work. And I knew I didn't have time I had to bring some of my work home and work on it late at night. And so, well, I was kind of bummed I didn't have time to sketch or paint that day. So I decided to just sketch a couple of those compositions in my sketchbook before doing them on the dishes. Maybe I'll put a clip of that here. And then mostly what I like about this page are these swatches under here. I think the colors are really speaking to me. I just really like these color combinations. All right, that is everything that I think I hadn't shown you guys that I've worked on recently. If you watched my last video, then you know that I made this sketchbook, and this is the one that I'll be taking on our trip to France. So I'm very excited to fill this up. Make sure you keep an eye out for the France vlogs that will be coming your way. And if you want to see what I end up putting in here, I will definitely be sharing that. I also did this because I wanted to test out what watercolor was like on this paper. It's pastel paper, and I did do a test to see what acrylic was like. Actually, I did a couple of tests. But where's the cloud one? Yeah, so this is the acrylic and pastel piece that I did just to kind of test out the paper. But I wanted to see how it would do with more of a watery watercolor mix, and it really absorbs it. And I think it has a nice effect, but it's definitely different from how it would look on watercolor paper. But I quite like these little kind of paint doodles. So, and I love how it looks layered. Like it really, what's that called? It like bleeds, which is not always a good thing, but I think it's actually quite pretty in this context. And then I did more of like a dry brush acrylic painting here just to see what that would look like. So I think this is kind of a charming little paper. So yeah, that is everything. I'm curious to see how my painting practice and like the way that I'm working is going to shift with the shifting season. I don't know about you guys, but I do think that with the change of season, it always kind of changes my mindset a little bit and like what inspires me. So depending on where you are in the world, I mean, everywhere the season's changing, but for me, it is becoming autumn, and I think it's supposed to rain a lot on our trip, which could be a bummer, but ultimately, like, I welcome it because I love the rain. And so yeah, there might not be a lot of plein air or cafe painting if it's pouring rain all the time, but I'll definitely be painting as much as I can. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you've been working on. Let me know if the changing season affects how you work as an artist. Yeah, do you kind of feel like refreshed as the seasons change, or does it change your inspiration at all? I'm curious. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, whenever that might be. Probably it'll take a little bit longer this time because I'll be coming back from vacation and have to catch up on editing and all that. But anyway, bye guys. Thanks for being here.